Marijuana's bad.
Hey guys, AK here. Welcome to part 4, and we are back in the studio making some glitch hub. Today I thought it might be fun to work on some leads. And, we have this track going already. I kind of forget what it sounds like because I've taken a break between part 2 and 3, but it almost doesn't matter because, and let me talk about how I like to approach leads. With leads, I've really reeled back in how I do it now, and you see I'm creating an empty MIDI track. I'm going to put an operator on it because I love operator. It's so easy to get stuff that sounds good really fast. But for me, I've actually gone back and forth with leads. I used to make really complex sounding leads, but I think actually that if you care about music, the best leads are actually really simple. I'll show you what I mean today. I've created a group here. I'm going to call it leads. I'm going to call this one, and I'm going to duplicate this 2 times, maybe 3 times. And the idea here is that when you make a lead, just choose a pretty basic type of wave and make a lead from just that wave. And it'll cut through your mix, it'll sound super clean. You'll see what I mean. So, for example, I definitely want to do a sine wave. I definitely want to do a square wave. I definitely want to do a saw wave. And we'll leave this one up to chance. So here we are. Guess what? We're almost done. No, really we are, because we have a sine wave. I might, pitch it up so it sits in a good range, and I might go into my envelope and maybe I'll add just like one harmonic floating out there. So almost it'll be loose, almost the sine. Here we have almost the sine, and let's put a low pass on it with like a nice resonant point. That makes the harmonic sit. Okay, cool. Now I want this lead to be sort of bleepy, so I don't want it to sustain. I want it to have a very little release point and a very short decay. In fact, what might make this interesting is I'll just bring in a nice Max for Live LFO and set an LFO on the decay so that the decay moves back and forth and in context with my track. So if I solo everything and hit play here, you can see there's a pattern. I'll have to make something a bit more interesting, I think. That's good. Bring the volume up a little bit. And guys, I know this doesn't sound that exciting, but watch what happens when we take that stupid little dot thing and put a reverb on it. So it has so much more dimension now. I'm going to do a little bit more with this reverb. Probably a low cut. And it's like I can tell the decay is just getting cut too small. So I'm going to change the offset here. And I might do just one more effect, maybe a chorus somewhere in there. Or maybe the chorus should be after the reverb. That's kind of a unique routing. Let's try the chorus after the reverb. Oh, I like it. So, as far as EQing, real simple. We can see clearly where the fundamental is, which is nice. I probably won't go much lower than this, so I'll just cut off everything after that. we want that high harmonic to happen, so I'm going to raise this. I might even actually make this like a high shelf. Oop, nope, the other kind. Nope, definitely not that. This. Actually, that is kind of cool. Oh, crap, I'm changing the wrong one. Hey, guys, wish someone was here to show me what I was doing wrong all the time. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, that shape makes a little bit more sense. All right, cool. Feedback? Yeah, feedback. I think right there. Cool. I know you might not believe me, but that's a lead. And just to prove it, what we'll do is take some MIDI, some pre-written MIDI under my leads and earth lead. That's nice, right? You guys kind of get where this is going. And now that I'm listening back, like I hear that highs are really hurting me actually. So we need like. So I don't know if that's actually going to work or not. I want to do my sound design first before I start thinking about melody, because I might actually want to play stuff. But that's the idea. So we made a really simple thing, and then we just did one thing. We gave it reverb, and we did a couple other things. But let's try the same thing with our friend, the square wave. So this one is going to be based off of a square wave. 64-bit. Oh, that's still the wrong one. Have it here. And this one, square waves are, I love the sound of square waves. It's so bitty. With this one, we might actually let it sustain, and we might do something like, we'll stick with the LFO trick. I'll just bring in another LFO here. And map it to this, except way less. And we want it to be. I know that sounds like a bass, but I think that's going to be our lead. Oh, my depth is just too high. That's cool. Let's add some distortion to it. In fact, let's use some of our splitting tools to split the highs and the lows. So make, how do I have this? Make mid-side split. Make phase split. Is that what I call it? Make two band phase splitter. All right. So we'll split the signal here into low and high. I think I've shown in other videos how I do this. Everybody's got their own technique, but let's listen to lows. Find a crossover point that makes sense. And you know, for this point, I want to actually use both hands on the mouse, as crappy as that sounds. So I'm going to just make a note to actually just listen to and then adjust stuff around the note. Just the lows we're hearing, remember. And now just the highs. So obviously, like, even though this might sound like a bass, there's most of the interesting information is in the highs. So we want to make our lows really pure, and then we want to really mess with our highs, just so it doesn't drive us crazy. I think I'll definitely want to add some overdrive, and maybe even an overdrive and like an amp too, or something, because I like the way Ableton's amp thing sounds. And what might be cool is if like the distortion moved with the oscillator level, so I could like duplicate this and now map it to the distortion filter. Except maybe I wanted to or like be a slightly different shape, or maybe just be oppositely phased. Now let's hear this dual. Remember, there's no low end, that's okay. Let's take this MIDI clip. I think that sounds cool. That's like a cool little square lead. I'm pretty confident it's going to cut through. It's pretty loud right now. That's okay. Alright, let's get to it and make a saw lead. Heck, we'll use the same MIDI clip here. Alright, so for this one, it's going to be based on a saw wave. And for this one, what I might actually do is put it in a group and assign this, you know, this FM amount to macro 1, and then get a range. So that's like way too much. We want to bring down the max. So this is more meaningful now, the range of motion of this knob. It might be even interesting to introduce a third that's low. And maybe even detune. That's too detuned. What do we spread? Yeah, and that could be cool if, sorry, I'm not really thinking out loud. So I kind of want this to also be mapped to the same parameter here. But again, that's too much, so we'll bring down the max. And that should probably also move the filter too. Let's make a like a filtered lead. maybe not a notch, maybe a high pass. I don't think this is going to be the right thing. You know what we could do though is we could just ooh, this is going to be a little cray. So there's going to be a bit of a weird routing. I'm going to do one filter that is a band pass, and then I'm going to put it in a group. I'm going to put it in a group with a duplicate rack, but they're actually different. This is going to be my band pass. This is going to be my band reject. And I like to do this to process things in parallel, make one a band pass, make one a band reject, and then the idea here is I'm going to map a macro knob that moves both of these in an interesting way together at the same time, and then I'm going to take that macro knob and I'm going to map it back to this thing so that this one knob does all the things. That's at least the idea. Let's see if it works. So listen to just my band pass. The top range is pretty important to this, so if we're going to make our filter move, it's going to have to start pretty much at the top, and I think probably from like 1.94 to like 6K. I think maybe we need just a little bit more on the top and bottom, a little more range there. And then maybe a little bit more Q, and maybe we'll introduce some stereo movement. Yeah, that's cool. So then this guy, the band reject filter, has to happen sort of somewhere else. I mean, it can intersect, and in this case it's going to, but my feeling is like it should probably be somewhere around 191, and then it should start at like 170. No, that's too low. 191, 192, and it should go until 2. So hopefully it makes sense what we've just done here, and we've basically mapped one knob to move the filter in the band reject and on the band pass, and then they're being summed together. This is what the band reject sounds like. I might even lower the Q so there's more of a gap. And here's what they sound like together. Kind of cool. I might even include a third one that's just clean, that's low. Or maybe that one has like an insane amount of overdrive on it. Or rather, cooler yet would be saturation, because we haven't really done any saturation yet. So this is going to be just saturation. And I'm really going to push this. I think analog clipping is the best. We can't have the output be that big, but we can have it hit higher. Here we go. It's too loud. Bring the band pass down. Bring everything down. You know what I'm going to do too? I'm going to do some parallel compression on the saturated one. And this is basically a rack with 3 different compressors. I realize this is starting to get complicated, and I said leads were simple, but this is this signal that's being saturated is going into another rack with like 3 different compressors. One channel that's dry, one that is responsible for the snap. You hear that? So I'm trying to get that really overdriven compressor sound. It's acting as a limiter in this case. So I'm literally just trying to get that, bring that way up, and then this. This is the snap. So together these sound like. And you know what I might even do, instead of applying that just to the saturated one, I'll apply it to everything. Wow, we're clipping like crazy, huh? This may have been a dumb idea. I'm gonna mute it. I don't think I actually need that. I'm gonna mute this too. Alright, you know what? Forget that whole thing I was just doing. I was aiming to keep it simple and I made it unnecessarily complex. So to finish this off, I'll put this whole thing in a rack. Okay? And then, does all the things goes to the true thing that does all the things. And then this guy, frequency, also goes to all the things. So now, and in fact, what might be interesting is if this one, works in exactly the opposite way. So this one goes. Loving it. All right. Should we just examine if there's one more, if we should just go full route and make use of all of the operators? Maybe with a really high harmonic. What if it was... That's cool. Alright, so I'm actually going to map the highest... Okay, alright, so what I'm going to do here, the highest I want this to be is 29, and then I'm going to map it to macro 2, so the highest it should be is 29, and the lowest it should be is 0, and then I'm going to map this back and call it the low harmonic. Low harmonic. Alright, cool. So now I have the low harmonic in there and I can control it independently. I can take this, make it small, and cool. Now I have 3 different leads to use in the context of my track. Amazing. And how much time have we taken up? 23 minutes. Alright, not too bad. For this last lead, let's not use operator. Let's try something else. If I did this on live stream, I could ask you guys what I should use, but alas, I don't do them consistently enough to do it on the live stream. If people want a live stream, just drop a comment in this video. If you're actually watching this and you want a live stream, I will do it. So, oh man, I feel like writer's block might be about to hit me. So when you get writer's block, you just choose something that you never choose. Like Monarch. I never choose Monarch. I know it's awesome, and I never choose it. But it's there. So this is going to be the old way that I used to make leads, which was like finding a really cool preset and then tweaking the hell out of it and then finding, what parameters make sense. It's a nightmare. It takes forever. doesn't sound too bad out the gate. So I finally have a piano here that I can play, but the latency is killing me right now. Oh, great. You have a lead category. That doesn't sound like a lead. That's kind of cool. Oh, that's sweet. Alright, cool. I'm going to turn on my computer keyboard because I can't deal with reaching for that all the time. Alright, cool. Now we're going to find the parameters that are worth messing with here. How do I clear this list of parameters? I think if I go and I just do delete, yeah, alright, cool. So it looks like I already thought about what I might want to use, but definitely the cutoff. Just definitely. And then I also might want to use the feedback or the load. Nah, probably not that. Come on. Yeah, the contour's cool. And then I hate the excuse me. I hate the decay knob in Monarch because it's not precise, and decay is extremely important. At least I never thought it was until I realized it was. That could be cool. That doesn't do jack. That doesn't do anything either. That's cool. We can include like a silly little other waveform. Alright, great. 3 is enough. I am happy. Alright guys, so we have a lead. Monarch. In fact, we have 4 leads. So let's do something with those leads. Let's play something. 512 samples, that's not going to fly. Let's change our sample rate. Hopefully I don't crash my computer here. And now I should be able to actually play. Without latency. That's amazing. Sorry, I think I just destroyed the mic. So now we're going to play some stuff. That's right. And we're going to choose probably the easiest waveform to write on. No, that sounds a little crappy. And, you know, for this, the way I'm set up here, I don't know if you can hear me moving back and forth. My piano is sort of like off to the side. So the way I like to do this to sort of get ideas is, again, to go into session mode, find a loop. I mean, I think this is our loop, for sure. And then, you know, go into session mode, get ready to record whatever I'm about to do, and then just sort of do it. Do I want the sine wave, maybe? Oh, that's the wrong one. What do I want the saw? I think I want Monarch. I love that. But alright, cool. So I note that we're in F sharp minor, and I'm just going to hit record here. And again, you know, you're by yourself in the studio. I mean, you guys happen to be watching, but nothing is a mistake. Everything you record, everything you try, everything that comes into the MIDI score is potentially awesome music that you could make incredible. So allow yourself, if you already play an instrument, that's great. And I actually think if I was giving advice to anyone who was getting into this stuff and didn't know where to start, I would say learn an instrument, because there's just so much that you can't do in music without knowing how to play an instrument and get some interesting sound out of what you're trying to do. But if you do know an instrument, and you know an instrument well, when you're recording your electronic stuff, just, um, let go of inhibitions and don't be afraid to, make mistakes, because they could become amazing things. All right, I'm going to shut up. So I'm going to play my track. I'm going to sit down at the piano. I'm going to try to write something in F sharp minor. Sounds like F to me. Alright, I'm really going to sit down at the piano because I'm half-assing it. Alright, let's try something a little funkier. So we're not impressed with AK's piano skills. That was pretty terrible. And I just gave this whole talk about letting go and just played a bunch of crap. But I played crap, and there's probably some good stuff in here. So the way I like to go about finding the good stuff is to listen back. But when I listen back, I don't actually listen back on the sound. I listen back on a very, very pure sine wave. Because that allows me to hear the musicality of what I'm playing after all the crazy sound design kicks in. So I'll turn this right up here. See, like that first line was not so bad. So I'll, duplicate this thing, take the first part of that line, and consolidate this into its own clip. I wish there was a way to tell Live to loop this region. Oh my gosh, I just figured out how to do that. I'm so glad about that. And fix this guy. Not that note. And fix that. And like this, boom, this can go here, So you can see, like, I'm going to find a couple leads out of this, and then we're going to try those leads on the different channels. Alright, so that leaves something to be desired, I think. So, when in doubt, add more notes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually, yeah, just going to try to find, just write a little MIDI thing here. And I might even bring my playhead here. So I can just write the right key. Do. Oh. Close. That's kind of cool. So that's like, it's not totally finished, but that's one melody. Let's find another one. And I'll do this, you know, find a couple until I don't want to do it anymore, and then I'll move on. But that's, anyway, that's how I'm going to go about making these leads. Way too low to hear, so I'll pitch these up. And, you know, don't be afraid to, like, quantize. Quantizing can be cool. So I'll take this in 16ths and quantize the crap out of it. See? That's cool. Take it, put it here, and then do that new trick I learned, which if you didn't catch on before, you can totally be like, I just want this stuff. Wait, how do you do it? Yeah. Okay. So if you have this little guy selected, you can like draw out a selection and then hit Command L and it'll loop that so that you can crop it immediately. So that's the problem. Alright, so that's a good loop that we can deal with. Cool, there's another melody. See, we found 2 melodies from that crappy playing.
Are you talking to someone?
I'm doing a narration. I'm doing like a screencast. So, I guess I'm talking to whoever will one day be listening to this. If you are out there, people who may or may not see this. Alright, let's find one more melody, and then we'll move on. Let's go towards the end of the performance. There could be something there. What if we... I'll just duplicate this so we don't lose anything. What if we double the speed of all of these notes? Oops. That sounds super weird. Oh, I actually... yeah, I meant to... Not times 2, divided by 2. There we go. That part was cool just there. That's what I want. That's really actually quite cool. Let's just deal with that, so we'll crop everything else. What's the wrong note there? Dun, dun, dun. That's it. That's cool. It should be this twice, except it should be located about here. This should be lower. Yeah, I think that'll work. It's not perfect, but we can always adjust it later. Again, we're just trying to come up with the clips that we need to... Sorry. We're just coming up with the clips that we need to, or that we will later use to like make all these leads. And you know, in the interest of time, I think we're at 43 minutes. I'll find another one. I want to get a major one because I was playing. That one is cool at the end there. No. Start here. Loop. Loop. Let's make it like a triplet feel, maybe? That could work. That's cool. That can be our melody. Alright, cool. So now we have... Do we only have 3? No, we have 4. We have 4 melodies. And I'm just going to name them 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we don't need this empty sine wave channel. We did all that interesting sound design earlier, so now we can just sort of give these a little listen on the other instruments that we made for them. Like, how cool is that? Like, that's gonna be awesome. So, you know, I could find out where these all go, but what I might do actually is just the way when we had all those vocal samples that we were using, or just the way that when we rendered all the vocal samples that we were using, we put them sort of in a group and created like an empty track. I might actually bring back that empty sine wave, just to have it as like our chopping block like we used before. So I have, you know, the idea listed here of where the leads all go, but on this track I'll bring in an empty instance of operator, so it's just playing a sine wave out. There we go. Oops, sine wave. There we go. And I'll take all of our parts and I'll put them, how do I have to do it manually, one by one? Okay, I guess I have to one by one put the parts here. And I will turn this channel off so that I can go back to my arrangement and bring in this, call this chop, and maybe even make these different colors. So then, just like when we had the vocal samples that we cut up, we can do the same thing with MIDI data and actually make an interesting melody that is in many ways a combination of those melodies that we just found from our performance. We won't hear it when our arrangement is playing, and I might even keep this one there too. But we can always refer to musically what it'll sound like. Or in context, just turn the track on. So now we're really set up to write some leads into our track, but we don't have any chords, which is a problem because chords establish key. We do have a bunch of different notes in the bass, so there's probably a key that's dictated here. I wrote F sharp minor in my notes, but honestly, it feels a bit like F sharp major, because at times we're definitely hitting the major third. So, in terms of time, we're at 48 minutes. I think that's probably good for today. What I will do next time is probably do the similar type of sound design that we did today for leads, except I'll do it for the chords. And I'll also work on placing some of these parts throughout our arrangement. But let's give things a listen one more time and just see if there are any other notes that stick out to me that I might want to make for myself to address next time. Stack these, remember, which is pretty exciting. Like, how cool is that already? I mean, it doesn't actually fit. That's what I mean. I'm tired, so I'm not gonna place these right now. But that is totally the plan next time. So until then, I'm AK. I guess I'll still be AK then. But this is part 4 of our series on how to make some glitch apps. Hope you enjoy.